Let's take an example of athletes, as I'm saying, that how they train their mind to believe that I can do something. And a very famous example, I'm not sure if any one of you would be aware of this name, Sir Roger Bannister. So this Sir Roger Bannister did something which was completely unbelievable. It was never ever thought in the history of mankind that a person can ever accomplish the task. What he did was such a revolution that before that nobody ever thought that it is ever possible for a human to do it. And of course, you should be wondering what he did was such revolutionary. But the irony is, what has not been done for thousands of years, what man thought is impossible, once he did it, everyone started doing it. Once he did it, everyone started doing it. So what is this Roger Bannister is famously known for? And is famously known for running a mile in less than a 4 minute. It was a belief that if somebody attempts to run a mile in less than a 4 minute, it was a belief that that person's heart would explode. It was a belief that the person will get a heart attack and he will die on the way. There was a belief the person would not survive if he attempts to run a mile less than 4 minutes. The obvious question is, we are talking about Roger Bannister here because he ran a mile in less than 4 minutes. But the question arises, but how did he do so? If I have to ask you to do a task where everyone is telling you, you cannot do it. The doctors are telling you, the scientists are telling you, the teachers are telling you, everyone around you is telling you, you cannot do it. And more than that, they tell you, if you attempt to do it, you might die. Would anyone here dare to do that? It's difficult, isn't it? Roger Bannister attempted to do something where everyone in the world was saying, you cannot do it. And that's the reason I'm taking this example. He was not an athlete by profession. He was a neuroscientist. And that's where the magic lies. He understood how the human mind functions. And what he did with himself, he trained his mind. He trained his mind by this visualization exercise where he told himself that I can run a mile in 3 minutes and 59 seconds. He trained himself over a period of time that I can run a mile in 3 minutes and 59 seconds. And guess what? He did that. He set a record which was never thought would ever establish. He ran a mile in 3 minutes and 59 seconds. And as I said in the beginning, once he did it, just 3 months later, someone else broke the record. And today, in the current time, the record stands for 3 minutes and 43 seconds. And this record initially was set in 1954 by this Roger. If imagine we go back in the time in 1953, and if I come on the stage and tell you, in a week from now, I'm gonna run a mile, and I'm gonna set a record of 3 minutes and 43 seconds, all of you gonna laugh out loud at it. This is impossible. Where? What's the reason? What's the difference? What did Roger did with himself that made him run a mile in 3 minutes and 59 seconds? What did Roger did to himself? He changed his belief system from I cannot to I can. So the change was in the mind, the thinking pattern. Spiritualists have been using this science of visualization from beginning of time, and there is a classic example of Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON. And that's what I really appreciate about spirituality, that fills you with so much positivity. This is a conversation, this is an incident which probably took back in early 1966. Srila Prabhupada was in New York. He was sitting all alone on a seat in a Tompkins Square Park, by himself all alone. He had no means of his survival. He was really poor, poverty stricken at that point of time. He had gone there just to share the message of Godhead, share the message of Bhagavad Gita. He's sitting there in his saintly attire, saintly robes and so forth. And there, a person by the name of Mr. Reuben a Jewish by birth, who was a bus conductor. When his duty got over, he came to walk in the Tompkins Square Park, and he saw this saintly old person sitting on a chair, sitting on the park desk by himself. He got very intrigued, and he walked up to him and he asked, and he began to interact with him. And he asked, "Who are you? Where have you come from? What are you doing here?" and so forth. And Srila Prabhupada introduced himself as the founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. It was not founded until then. It was not even founded until the next 6 months. There was no ISKCON existing, and Srila Prabhupada introduced himself, "I am the founder Acharya of ISKCON." And then, of course, obvious question comes, what is this ISKCON? And then Srila Prabhupada went on to explain what this ISKCON is. And he said, we have hundreds of temples all over the world. At that point of time, Prabhupada even didn't have a place for himself to stay. And he's telling Mr. Rubin, we have hundreds of temples all over the world. And then he said, and we have tens and thousands of followers all over the world practicing and living by the message of Bhagavad Gita. And Mr. Rubin, in his own words, right, I was astonished. This gentleman is telling me that he's an Acharya, the founding member of such a big institute, a spiritual organization. Yet he's sitting all alone by himself in this park and nobody seems to be around. Yet I could not doubt him because he spoke with such a confidence. And guess what? In 1977, Srila Prabhupada left this world. And when he left this world, in a short span of 11 years, Srila Prabhupada opened 108 temples all over the world, and he had more than 10,000 students practicing the life of Bhakti Yoga all over the world. This is called as power of belief.